It's a two model CRUD app, Book Manager, book, which is the main model, and authors, which is going to be object or service or API, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be handling the author information. And so we have our views. We have two views. We have an author view and a books, author's view and books view. I actually put CSS folder here for both of the styles, but I really believe I may be able to get away with just the global styles in this folder, but we'll see. Because the reason I wanted to try to go with individual styles because I was trying to make it have a spa feel to it, where you have one place that is going through and then it's actually loading the views from each individual page. But still, I think I need to focus on just making the app functional, and then after it's functional, then I can start doing all the extra stuff. So as you can see, I have my models, my views, and I have my controllers here, books and author controller. The first thing I need to do is I need to set up my model and basically create the book model first, and then after I create the book model, then I come and attach the books controller, make that work. Because really the books controller is actually, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do the book first, book model first. So all I'm gonna do is open up PHP code block, and then class book, some curlies, and our class is done. Obviously, that's not all we need to do, because we need to set a constructor on here as well as properties and methods. So let's the main I'm gonna say the main thing, but the first property that I'm going to add is actually a connection to the database. I think that's very important, because in order to get any data, because the model is actually responsible for retrieving data from the database and also sending the data to the view as well as to the controller. Because when the user accesses a page through a request, then if they interact with the page, then the data needs to be sent to the page. So that's going to happen because the controller is actually going to interact with the user, and then so the user is going to interact with the controller is going to interact with the model is going to send back the data to the controller, and the controller is going to push stuff back to the view. And that's pretty much it. So we have our connection, and then in addition to our connection, we also need actually the author object. So I am going to do a capital A author to let us know that that is going to be an object. And then in addition to that object, we are going to have the actual properties that we're going to need in our database. So the properties are, we need ID, we need a book title, we also need an author ID, because we are going to, at first I wanted to just do author's name, but I already know that I wanted to be able to search books by author, and also knew that the author would be a foreign key, because if I'm going to be searching authors, I'm going to need a key or ID. So that's the reason why I'm doing author ID. So we have author ID, And then we have a book description. Actually, you know what? Under the title, we're going to have subtitle. Now, I won't say most because I don't know most, but I do know some. Some books do not have a subtitle. But for the books that do have a subtitle, it might be very useful to know what that subtitle is if you're doing a search for the books. So in addition to the subtitle, I'm going to put a description of the book. All right, we have a description, and then we're also going to have keywords, because if someone is searching keywords, it would be nice if there were keywords that were associated with the books that would help that book become more searchable. So we have keywords, and we also need ISBN. And that's ISBN 10 and also ISBN 13. And that's pretty much all of our properties. So now we need to work on the constructor. So the constructor is really a method. So public function constructor, and the parameters that we're going to take in the database, or database connection. And that's pretty much it, because I am going to load here the author method. So I'm going to require here the author method, which is located here. So basically, we are in the book method, right? I mean, not the book method, the book model. The book model is here, and we have to include the author model, which is here. And since it's in the same model folder, all we really need to do is say this period. This period means we're in the same directory, and then we have the slash, and then we just say author. Okay, so since the author model or author class is inside of the same directory, we're going to require it inside of the book model. And then once we do that, we have to set our database connection once we receive that connection as a parameter. It's connection. And that's going to be equal to connection. And in addition, since once we establish that connection, then we are going to set the author. We're going to create a new instance of the author class inside of this object, of the book object. So this author is going to be equal to new author, and that parameter also we're gonna pass the parameter of a connection through there as well. But we're just going to take the connection that we passed in here and use it inside of the author. So now we've once this book model or book object is instantiated, the connection is established, and then the new author model or class is also instantiated. So that's what's going to happen once we start or create a new object for book. And everything is going to run through here. So anytime we want to access anything related to the author, we're going to access this class or this object that's instantiated within the book model. All right. So the first thing that we want to do, I guess what I'll do is I'll end the video here, and then when I come back, then I'll start constructing all of our methods for the book object. And I'm going to do that. At first I wanted to, I know I keep seeming like I'm about to end this thing, right? But at first I wanted to just build the book model. But then I said to myself, in order to build it in an orderly fashion, what I've decided to do is I am going to utilize the book's controller. And as I construct the book's controller, and as I build the REST routes in the book controller, I can also build the necessary methods and what have you within the book object. And that way, I guess I can do it in somewhat of an efficient fashion. So when we come back, I'll start building our books controller as well.